Hey, yo, what's going on, guys? Got episode number 87 of Marvel YAP for you guys today. Today, we're going to be going over the Datamines, going over the new season, our thoughts initially. It's been a week since the season started, and we're going to be going over some OTA hopes that we hope to see in Thursday's OTA. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, we are joined by the hostess with the mostest, notmydance, who might actually be the busiest man in Marvel Snap. This mustache is on so many different platforms, and he's absolutely killing it. You love to see it, Dance. But how we doing, Dance?
I'm speaking of loving to see it. Hadn't seen the Galactic Storm White Crackle on your Black Knight, and oh, that's nice. I actually like it a lot. That's good.
Yeah,
that's a really good one.
I hit this the other day, and I was like, wait, this actually, I mean, I still like the gold on gold the most, but I was like, this actually goes really well with this split too.
No, that's really good. I love it a lot. That's such a cool split. There's a lot of fun stuff, right? I mean, you also did a big stream. You were streaming for 12 hours, had a very, very big datathon, which was a good time. Yeah. God, that's nice split. I like it.
Yeah,
this is fun.
It's a good split. We had a long stream. Thank you guys for all the support during that stream as well. But we have a lot of great topics we're going to be talking about today. So we're kind of going to be not rushing into things. But since we have so much,
but we can move.
We're going to be efficient, I would say, with the YAP today. Because we're going over the Datamines, because we didn't get to go over the Datamines this last Tuesday. We're going over the new season, a new season kind of recap. It's been a week since this season came out. So we kind of have some takes so far on the 3 new cards that released this season. And then we're also going to be looking at OTA hopes, because we do have an OTA this Thursday as well, and we have some general ideas. And I have a very, very hot take that probably is not a great take, but it is a take nonetheless.
We're trying to bring up Bishop again.
It's not Bishop. It's another 3 cost, but it is not Bishop, and we're going to jump right into the Datamines, though. And we do have this, of course, still is subject to change. Things could still potentially happen with these cards. We don't really know until, like, the dev video happens, and then we see the blog if these cards do get
not even then
adjusted. True. Sometimes not even then. But this is the May season, which is the Daredevil Crimson Twilight season, instead of, like, a Daredevil Born Again.
Did you watch the newest episode?
I have not seen the newest episode of Daredevil, and I have not seen the newest episode of Invincible.
Did you hear the review of it? It's the highest rated Daredevil. Oh God.
Yeah,
All right, well, we're gonna have to talk about that later. It's sick. I love it. But yeah, all these cards are gonna be releasing in the Daredevil season. Obviously, Shadowlands Daredevil as the season pass card, with Wilson Fisk as the Series 5. Again, Datamine for next month, with Karen Page as the first card coming out, which it's insane that she has the same stat line, same ability. Still, I thought that would have changed during these Datamines. Like when the Datamines opened up, because we didn't do it last episode.
Yep.
But so we've seen them before by now. We've probably both gone over them with our chats.
Yep.
When I saw the Datamines, I expected Karen Page to have some change, and the fact that she doesn't is wild to me.
Yeah, well, she's essentially a 411, but it just is kind of feels bad, even more 411 than some of these other forecast boosting cards we may be talking about today.
Well, see, why would I want to do a 411 when I could just get +1 max energy with Punisher War Machine?
That's true. Why not just do that instead? Which that card looks freaking ridiculous. So does Akari.
Sick.
Muse looks really cool. I actually like just the concept of that, because like it's like we didn't talk about this last time, but like Muse's whole thing is like painting a picture with like the people he kills. So it's like those are different areas where people died, on the board. So he's like making art from that, which is kind of the way I looked at the way.
Which is also it's a new thing that says like, hey, I care, a card that cares about what happens at each location.
Yeah.
Which we've kind of had some of that stuff, but it's nothing that's like boosted off, or been boosted off of it, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
It makes me interested in a card that honestly, it's like, I just want locations to change.
Yeah, no, I think that's really neat. And then also like Stick looks really good. The Series 4 cards this season look solid. Well,
I don't think Stick is good.
You don't think Stick looks good?
I think Stick's a bad card.
You don't I mean, like, if you're playing this in some sort of like buff decks, I think like giving the power of Stick to another card instead of like having to activate like Maverick. I mean, it really depends. If Maverick becomes a 4 cost, does Stick look better?
I mean, yeah, immediately. But until that happens, Stick sucks.
Okay.
But
I mean, he doesn't. I don't think he sucks. But like, there's other cards that do stuff better than him. I think I can agree there. But it'll be
Lady Bullseye.
Yeah, Lady Bullseye also at a 2 cost. Looks a little crazy.
Did you? It was in one of the more recent dev videos. I want to say where they did a dev interview. They talked about what they've looked at in terms of like designing a card, and they mentioned Bullseye, and I had never thought about it. But they said one of the reasons why they made Bullseye discard a bunch of low-powered cards and then in order to do stuff was like, we wanted to get the image of him grabbing utensils and grabbing a fork, grabbing a spoon, grabbing random like items, trash around you, and then using that all to deal damage. And I had never thought of it that way with Bullseye until they said that, and I was like, that's such a good flavorful bit there. I love that. That's a really great section of, I just love the way that works.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. That actually is incredible because Bullseye doesn't use guns normally.
No. I mean, he will maybe throw one.
Yes, but it's because he thinks they're boring. Like, he genuinely thinks they're boring, so he doesn't. He can turn any item into a weapon. He could use an eyelash. Like, it's crazy what he can do. But I did also read a thing that Bullseye, of course, doesn't miss. But he said that Hawkeye is a better marksman than him. Because with Hawkeye, it is all skill. Like, Hawkeye has gotten to that level with his aim. Hawkeye does miss, but Bullseye said that Hawkeye is a better marksman than him in the comics.
Interesting. Better marksman. I wonder what the differences are there. That's still cool. I like it.
Yeah. But that's the May season. We did get some Datamines, though, for updates, of course, for June. And then we also got some cool stuff for July.
Mine keyword.
Yeah.
However,
we did have boost.
We've got
it was confusing at first, right, Dance? Or maybe not confusing, but
it's a new word. And honestly, I actually think it adds a level of clarity that is probably good to have in the game. I actually really like the next. We also added another keyword, basically, is the best way to put it.
Yeah, we do have another keyword. I real quick got to make this stuff happen. So Dance and I are going to pause for just a second, and then everything's going to look nice and pretty on screen. 2, 1.
So we've got the new keyword for boost for this season, and that was already we had already discussed that, but there's kind of a new keyword that they're also introducing with movable, which actually it basically says you can move this once. Instead of that, you just say movable once, which it's little things like this which are going to save text on cards. And there's a reason for it we'll see actually in looking at Spider-Man Brand New Day, which we already talked about in the past was like Datamine, but still, when we talk about him, you'll see why. But Jeff Baby Dolphin had a little bit of a text change, but is basically still the same. It says boost +1 each card you reveal here, movable once. And the difference between him and this version and the previous one previously said your cards here reveal boosted with +1 power. But boost +1 is again concising text, consolidating. I like it. It's just a simple thing here. I'm just trying to go behind the scenes and explain why they're doing all of that extra stuff. And I do like this bit for both the boost and movable.
Do you think retroactively any card that adds power, they're going to change that to boost?
Any card that adds permanent power, I think so. And I believe so because of also looking ahead for the future season. Okay. Again, the next season, again, Spider-Man season, I think there's at least one of those that have that same thing.
Okay. So like Surfer will be boost 3 cost cards instead of add power 2. Which
boost
also
+2
condenses text.
Your 3 cost.
Yeah. Okay. And also this, Jeff, by the way, is like the location we got during the Guardian season where your cards are revealed with +2 power. I believe Jeff.
Or Prosecco.
That's what it's called. Yeah, or Prosecco.
It's not called that actually at all, but I call it that. It's Proscenium, I think. Sorry, it's Proscenium.
Dance wants a mimosa right now, guys. That's what we got.
I don't like mimosas. Actually, I called it Prosecco on the Golden Gauntlet, and then I had because you can hear guess who's like organizing everything back. He's like, it's called Proscenium. And it was like very definitive. Like, I need to call it Proscenium from now. Understood.
But he's okay with the way you pronounce the lizard or the other
Chameleon.
The adjacent lizard. Yeah, he's okay with that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What's wrong with that?
No, I'm just curious why it's like tomato kind of situation, right? Why can't you just call it Prosecco, right?
Because one of those is it's like a Marvel made up word. And the other one's a word that's a very common word in the English language, and it's easy.
But it's also a Marvel trademarked character.
Yeah, didn't hear any issues about that.
Okay, but we have Jeff, and then also to coincide with the Land Shark itself, another card that does boost as well is going to be Venus, which is a 3-cost, 3-powered, and I believe this is the super premium season pass card, Datamine for June. Jeff is the regular premium season pass. And this is a 3/3. When your cards in play are boosted, they get an extra +1.
So 2 things to note. Again, the text slightly got consolidated, changed, removed the +1 power. Also, she was originally Datamine as a 3/4.
Yeah, I think this being a 3/3 is definitely safer. I think 3/4 was too good. There's another card we're going to be talking about later that I think at its current stat line, I think is a little bit ridiculous. But when we get to that, we'll get to that. But I think this card's good. Automatically, it works for Surfer. Also, can work for something like, Sebastian Shaw with this is kind of crazy too in general, or even like a Maverick.
I'm going to give you a take here.
Okay.
So the question of this guy, I think it's going to say when Sebastian Shaw is boosted, he gets an extra +1. I think that's how his text will get changed at this time.
You mean +2?
Or +2. So I don't think it's going to be an extra. It doesn't count as another boost. I don't think it's going to be boost. I think it will just be
every time a card is boosted, it gets another boost with that +1.
Well, no, they aren't saying another boost. That's the key here. It is an extra. It's extra, not another boost, because otherwise you're creating because if in the case that you're arguing here, if I play Venus and then I also have, let's say, behind her a Prodigy, and then I Silver Surfer, infinite loop, infinite power, you win. Instead, it's extra, which is why I think they're going to use that extra
it wouldn't be an infinite
word.
Loop with Prodigy. It would just happen twice.
Well, no, because as soon as Prodigy happens and Venus recognizes Prodigy triggering, so she triggers, but then as soon as she triggers,
that is true. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I think they're going to say extra for him.
Okay, so they're going to add the specification that it has to be a boost. It's not just power, because Sebastian is whenever it gains power. Okay.
Well, we'll see. There's another reason I'll say it's different, but we're going to get to the Submariner, who actually has a very specific, because they're going to follow his keywording, I think. But yeah, so we'll get there when we get there. But anyway, this card is cool. We're arguing minutia that are technically unconfirmed.
Yeah, we're arguing minutia for Sebastian Shaw, but this card's going to be good. Like, it's genuinely just going to be a good card. And then the next card we have after Venus is going to be Monstro. And I know I was wrong for this. I was saying I think Monstro should be 10 power since it's an 8 cost, but it's an octopus, so it has to stay at 8 power and 8 cost. So I get it. But I feel like as an 8 cost, I still feel like this card needs a little bit extra power. But I like the concept of it because it gives you also the intel of what you know, or you can infer what you can draw next. So I do get that.
It's a very interesting question of of if it will be balanced or not. And I love the idea of this guy. The question is if he will truly be balanced or not, based off of all of that stuff. Because as much as it's like it's 8/8 because of the 8 arms and 8 everything else, they've done that before where they just say, okay, listen, as much as it's 8 arms or whatever, they could keep it as 8 power or 8 cost and it would still work, honestly. Because then you're still doing the 8 thing there, and that's fun. I could see this going to a 10 potentially, honestly, but we'll wait and see how this guy does. It's very cool. I actually think he's going to be weaker, but I like Monstro.
Oh, yeah, I do think he's going to be weaker. I think it's like, how are the Ducks so great? Because I get to know what the next card I play. It's like...
But Howard the Duck doesn't give you a bonus for it, right? And that's, I think, the big key difference here.
But it lets you know exactly what you're drawing, where in Monstro, you still kind of have to infer if you have multiple.
You can still infer. It just is the biggest buff to deck trackers in the world.
Yes.
Because if you remember, or just people with really good memory, because if you remember all that stuff, it's truly fantastic. So he's going to be another fun card, but right. So I think we had the season pass again, Datamines, which will change. Jeff's season pass. Venus Super Premium in Series 5, and Monstro as the Series 5 release at the start of the season, as we're seeing them pretty typically do, as well as 2 Series 4 releases that are typically coming in game modes.
Yeah. Also, if this does go to 10 power, this is actually incredibly good for Big Dumb Idiots.
Yes.
For like this card stuff, so it's probably also another.
Which is maybe why it doesn't.
Yes. As much as because I enjoy those style decks, probably not. The next card we have though is going to be Jubilee the Silver Surfer, which is a 4-cost 2-powered. When you draw a card, so whenever you draw a card, this is a flat text. Boost it with this card's power. So I think that's pretty neat. Actually, here I think that has potential to be strong. I mean, anything getting boosted with +2, and
at minimum +2.
Yeah, at minimum, because it's looking at Jubilee's concurrent power.
And if you look, if Nidavellir or like a Captain Carter imagining, right? Yep. You've got options there, and it's gonna be very cool to see what you can do with Jubilee Silver Surfer. So this is gonna be there's a lot of power behind this card, I think.
Oh yeah, I think Viv Vision now is just getting. I mean, Viv Vision already. Like we were talking about it like a yap or two ago. Viv Vision's so good, like actually so good right now. And hitting cards like this gives you just like exponential potential value too. Because like Viv procs at the start of the next turn before you draw a card. This would get the buff, and then also could buff the next card. Like not saying like. This, of course, it can coincide kind of with Viv, I'm saying, like as an alternate, like because Viv doesn't hit the card you draw. So yeah, this card looks very interesting. Then we got Quicksand finally, Dan.
Which this is the big thing. Everyone's talking about Quicksand.
Yeah. What are your thoughts originally on Dance? Of course, we don't know, or the viewers don't know what Quicksand is yet.
Or listeners, Quicksand is a 2/4. Which has the ability, the next time your opponent would start a turn with bonus energy, they don't get it. And we've asked for a card that stops energy cheating for a bit of time. And this is that answer. There's some questions I still have, honestly, about being like, okay, so how does this work with, like, is this max energy or bonus energy? Or like the +1 for a single turn with like maybe a Psylocke or whatever? We don't know the answer.
Well, it says bonus in general.
Yeah, so it's like, I'm assuming that's what I'd agree probably, where it's just like, if anything that is just beyond the amount of energy you're supposed to get per turn would be this, is what I'm assuming. Banned in high voltage, this card will be 100%. I don't know why I spoke like Yoda right there, but it is...
Banned in high voltage.
Yes. Anyway. Quicksand's going to be a really cool card. I am so happy they did this instead of an ongoing. The fact they made this a one-time thing, and as much as people would be like, oh, as an ongoing one, and it would probably still be, and people would be okay with it, it would be so much more powerful, so much more oppressive. And the fact this is just the next time your opponent would start to run bonus energy, they don't get. It's just that. It's just a flat, whenever this next happens, this happens. Similar to, honestly, what's it called? Negasonic. Negasonic is just the next time your opponent plays a card here, it gets destroyed.
Yep.
I love that this is such a simple ability and that it doesn't actually stop decks that are trying to do a bunch of things with energy, which is weird to me. Maybe that's a problem, but it is like, if I'm a deck that's running like a Luna Snow, for example, and I play a Luna Snow, I could play a Luna Snow for one as a tech piece because then it just stops one turn of Quicksand.
Yeah.
Or or if I'm realizing that they're going to do something else in that and play this at a later point, maybe I'm supposed to hold this as my opponent, which makes me have to play around it. So then maybe if I was going to get all the extra energy on turn 6 and they're going to play this on turn 5, maybe I get the extra energy on turn 5. So they can't count. It gives you, there is a level of counterplay. There's a level of thinking to this card, which I'm going to call it, people are going to hate because this card is going to be brain intensive to think about how to play with this guy. But I love that. And it's not a super easy plug and play. It is a tech card that is not the end all be all answer to the tech card, to everything else. It's a weaker one. And that's, I think, more fine.
Yeah, I think also this is, like you said, even the Luna Snow shout, using this on your side of the board and then you Luna Snow so your opponent doesn't get the extra energy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, in a sense, I think, It's kind of like what this card's going to do kind of thing. But there's definitely going to be ways to play it like a Supergiant kind of esque. Not the exact same.
Yeah.
But there's definitely going to be a mental to this, and the stat line at 2/4 for what it does, I think is really good. Like a really, really solid stat line here. Of course, like if you do Star-Lord into like a Quicksand, you're not going to get that Star-Lord power, but you still could Absorbing Man, Grandmaster, or Zola kind of things like Dance is talking about.
Which, by the way, it says any extra energy, so it's not stopping one card. So let's imagine I still had a Luna Snow and I Star-Lorded.
Yes.
By reading this text, I assume I get nothing.
Yes.
Out of either.
You just got an on reveals. The on reveals go off. That's literally like what just happened there. So that's very, very interesting to note with this. The next card we have is the Submariner, which is a 1-cost, 2-powered card.
Wait, Mariner?
Or Mariner. Or it's Mariner.
No. I'm asking if it's correct. Like, because
isn't it Mariner?
I thought it was Submariner.
I could be wrong too. It's either
no. Sorry,
Mariner,
I wasn't trying to like tell you you're
I know,
wrong.
I know.
I was trying to see if I was wrong.
Let us know. Is it Mariner or Submariner? Because I know because you don't marinate, but like submarine.
Yeah. Anyway,
So,
Namor.
Yeah, we have extra hot Namor with the ability. He's a 1-cost, 2-powered card. But when this is boosted, add a random 1-cost character to your hand with that same boost, and that is whether if the Namor Submariner is in hand or is in play.
So, big thing to note as well is when you look at Sebastian Shaw, this is the card I was talking about that I think they're going to use as a baseline.
Okay.
When this is boosted for Sebastian Shaw, get an extra +2. That's it. I think is all it will do, and it'll say wherever this is. I think is all that this will need to say for boost, and that's the logic here. Previously, this was data mined as a 2/3. It's now a 1/2. All of a sudden, like Marvel Boy value. I've got Viv Vision value. There's a lot of cards that are going to be really good with this now as a 1-cost, and I'm interested to see if it's going to matter enough.
Yeah,
but I like the idea of the Submariner, however, nonetheless, especially more as a 1-cost. It feels cool. I like this card.
Yeah, I like the concept. It's just what 1-cost are you going to generate? Like that's just the biggest, thing here. But like the ability is like something cool because, the cards also do get boosted to whatever the stats are for this card. So I think that's just another interesting, it's new. I'm glad we're getting something new.
I've coped, and I talked about this on my stream bit. I am coping hard that they're never going to buff Mad Stinker. Instead, they're going to release synergy pieces like this.
Interesting.
That's my hard coping. You can say I'm wrong and I'm coping, and I agree, but I'm still coping.
Yeah, that's interesting Mad Thinker kind of vibes there.
But it is, right? But you could run them both in a 1-cost deck. You get to throw in Clea, and then you get to use your Marvel Boy or your or what's her face? Viv.
Okay, well, Dance, I got a question for you. I'm starting this off hot. How upset are you by this card? Because I know how much you like Namor and how much you like Orca in the sense of wanting them to get changes. How much is this kind of a slap in the face to those cards?
So previously this card was a Namorita for people who are audio only. Previously, Namorita had the ability, again, data mined, obviously subject to change. This is one of the reasons why. After the next time you play an ongoing card, double its ongoing ability was her previous ability, which was super powerful, in my opinion, was way too good because it was meant to work with them, but it was going to be better than them. And you never used it with them in the answer. However, it's now data mined as a 3/5. When you draw a card, give it -1 cost if this is your only card here. And this is an insane glow up.
Yes.
This card is so much better now as a 3/5.
Okay, so it was going to be good at the 4-cost slot for the double ongoing in general. Like that in general.
Oh, it was going to be busted. Yes, I thought it was going to be busted.
But comparing this to like Namor and to Orca, it is the craziest glow up for a card to be needing to be by itself.
Yes, 100%. It is way too good. I'm not even too good. I'm just happy it is like, I'm happy it is good.
3/5.
Yeah.
It's a 3/5. That
it's
gives
insane.
Your draws -1 cost.
This is, I feel like if we talk about potential nerfs, I feel like it's going to 3/4 minimum.
minimum 3-4. Like I saw this and I was like, why did they make this a 3-5?
I mean, I'm gonna bet that this is like it's their first version of it, is what I'm guessing, because it changed from the previous version to the next one, and they said, all right, well, let's put this new stat line on it and give it the vanilla stats of 3-5 and see if the downside of needing -1 cost is enough. And sure, I'm okay with that here. It's fine.
Next, we got Triton, which is a 3-4. On reveal, boost +3, the last character played by each player last turn.
Yeah, which one thing I like, by the way, again, with boosting is they previously had said boost with +3 power, whatever, previously before, but they've just made it boost +3, which is, that feels very clean. I hope that we see something similar in terms of afflict. I want afflict -2. Is that a bad idea?
You want to afflict
for afflict just to be, it's a permanent change, and there's the boost keyword thing I think we talked about before, right? Where it's like when a card is boosted, it is a permanent change in power or whatever. Where with that, well, maybe afflict, or maybe there's a different word for it, but that is a consistent thing. It just means Hazmat says afflict -1 to all cards.
Yeah, shortening the text. I think there might be a way for them to like condense everything too. Okay, I was confused. I was like, are you wanting this to have that? But now...
Sorry. Now you understand what I was trying to say there. Anyway,
yes.
Triton was previously, by the way, a 3-5 that also did +4.
Yeah, which it does also give the power to your opponents as well. But
Cerebro counter.
Yeah, it's a Cerebro counter. Besides Red Skull, you now have another counter to Cerebro, and I guess Enchantress and Cosmic Ghost Rider and stuff.
But yeah, there are other counters, but who cares? Like half locations.
Counter. Yes. So, but not bad. So I think trying to be pretty interesting to kind of see how.
And this is a works. Series 4 as well.
Yeah, and for Series 4, maybe more accessible, or it's a game mode card. So it'll be interesting to kind of see.
Yeah, game mode Series 4. Yeah.
See what happens here. And then that is the end of the Datamines we have for the June season. And
there's something weird in between seasons, right?
Yes. We have the Penance Stare that got datamined for a new Grand Arena champion for Ghost Rider, which this seems pretty cool. You guys know we are very avid discard and Ghost Rider advocates. And this is a 5-cost skill. When discarded, play this. On reveal, your champion steals 4 power from an enemy card here, and it gains movable once.
Okay, my question. Why is it, where is here? Where does this get played? Because that's very unclear. Does your opponent have to have a card in every single location?
Well, I think this targets wherever your Ghost Rider is. For when you're...
but it doesn't play on your champion's location, right? Because your champion could still be in your hand.
Yeah, and you're discarding this. So I don't know if you're discarding it wherever you discard the card is technically here.
Isn't there Grand Arena this month? Is this part? This could even be part of this month.
That is true. Maybe it is part of this month, which
note as well, they replaced all the pixelated versions of champions. We're not showing them all here. But they all now have all the champions, like Weapon X, Annihilus, stuff like that. Maybe actually not Weapon X, I don't know. But they all have this different version now that is in similar style, where it's all Night Forged or medieval-esque style, which is more of the Grand Arena style there, which I do actually like a lot.
Yeah, they have that because there was a pixel collab with what was it we call it? Cosmic Invasion. That's why.
Yeah, Cosmic Invasion. Yeah, Weapon X has one too. That's what I was checking.
Yeah. But Penance Stare, so we can maybe get another new champion, which I'm excited for that. I like having more champions and stuff to test. Will this be good? Who knows? Probably. But then we finally got the abilities for the July Spider-Man Brand New Day season, starting off with Spider-Man Brand New Day, which has a very long line of text at a 1 cost, 2 power, movable twice. And after this moves, give one of your other cards at the new location, wherever it moves to, +1 power. Also, unrevealed cards are accounted for as well. So it can give the
power
to unrevealed
boosted.
cards. Yep. No boost context here. It is just
there isn't here.
There's
a different card that is coming out this season, Datamine for the season, that does actually say the word boost. But this also feels like this should say, after this move, boost +1 to one of your other cards at the new location, which does actually, again, shorten text a little bit, which is, especially on a card like this, which this might be the longest card we have in the game.
What is the longest one before? Is it?
So actually, the longest one currently, I don't know if it's Galactus First Steps or if it's Zombie Galacti.
That's what I was thinking. It's one of those two potentially has.
Because Zombie Galacti was previously fine, but then they added the keyword character instead of card to it, and it became super long.
Yeah, so
but
I think this is up there, at least top 3.
It's definitely up there
for longest text. But this card looks interesting. I'm stoked to see kind of what happens here, and it does have some cards that do combo with it, which is nice. We also do finally have Aunt May Datamine. We do not have an ability for Aunt May just yet, but we do have Aunt May as a card that's been datamined for the season.
Is it? And what's her? I believe it says it there. She's datamined at Series 5, correct?
Yes.
If you scroll down a little bit,
datamined at Series 5.
I think this is coming out at the same time, technically, according to the way it looks like, same time as Spider-Man Brand New Day, that card. So potentially super premium is what I'm guessing here, or potentially it's the other Series 5 release at that time. Yeah. We don't have that information.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Also, something to note, we didn't talk about this for the June season, but on the picture we saw for the Datamine season pass, Elsa Bloodstone is in the season pass, which is a Series 4 card at the moment.
Oh, yeah, true. And Sunspot isn't, but he's in there.
Yep. So those are two cards in there. And then next, we also do have the Tarantula, which is a 2-cost, 1-powered card. End of turn. End of turn. If you have the highest powered card, boost this and 2 cards in your hand with +1 power.
This is why, so there's this one, which actually there's a different card that comes out before, and I gave you the wrong order in terms of to put them, but that's on me. I already said it's on me. But when you talk about boost, and you say if they're trying to add this keyword in retroactively, as much as Spider-Man is missing it, Tarantula has it, and this would have just been give this and 2 cards in your hand +1 power. So boost this and 2 cards in your hand +1, I think is all that they would be saying if you argue their new nomenclature. I think potentially. So it's like I like this as a card. Also, this is just a cool end of turn card, honestly. Like, I'm kind of down for this card.
Yeah, I think this card gives you a lot of just flexibility and stuff. And I mean, not necessarily that end of turn necessarily needed it, but it's another just good boost piece. You don't really have like a boost piece necessarily for end of turn because Viv is start of turn.
And it's a good boosting your card and boosting the cards in your hand, which again we have Nakia, and maybe and we have Viv, but this is again now it's Tarantula is interesting because it also requires you having the highest power card now. Is right. There's a cost that you have for this, and there's no
Ooh,
otherwise. It's just this works or doesn't.
Kingpin too. This gives you kind of that sense.
So I was gonna note Kingpin because Kingpin in particular says cost 3 if you have the highest power among cards in play.
Yep.
Which makes me feel like if there's a tie, he still works. Tarantula has a different phrasing.
It doesn't say in play. So
I think it would.
Yes, it should work.
I think it's in play. Yeah, I think it is in play. It just doesn't say it, but it's also I think this should say if you have the highest power among cards in play. Again, copying verbatim what Wilson Fisk says. Boost this and 2 cards in your hand +1.
Yes. Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. But anyway, Tarantula is a very cool card. And again, I like the fact this is a pretty, honestly, solid card, but it doesn't have a fallback like Adam Warlock, which is a big deal. And I love that.
Yeah, this will be interesting kind of see, do you play, I know some end of turn decks are running Adam Warlock, but this probably I think might take the spot. It just depends on kind of, what you're doing, or this isn't even also like a bad card for something like a Zombie Galacti.
I was thinking Zombie Galacti as well.
Yeah. A bunch of different boost cards.
Or honestly, and then just honestly just hand buff stuff, right? Yep. Which maybe makes you try to put points onto the board, which is a pretty good thing to do. But yeah, so this is for what it's worth. According to the Datamines, this is mostly coming out the second week of the season. Again, subject to change. Hopefully I told you the correct card to put next. Is it Mary Jane?
No.
Can we go to Mary Jane? I'm going to ask you to go out of order of what I gave you before because I'm the worst and I gave you the wrong order. I'm going to acknowledge that because this card, Mary Jane, Aunt May, and Spider-Man Brand New Day are all Datamine to release on June 30th. And this is what I should have said instead of the other one. So my apologies there, Tucker. I'd like to apologize for misleading you, but we're getting Mary Jane at least.
We are getting Mary Jane, which is a 3-cost, 3-powered card, which is end of turn. Boost each of your cards that moved this turn with +1 power. Each of the cards you've moved this turn, every single one. And also, guys, while Dance may have led me astray and put the wrong cards in orders, I want to lead you guys in the right direction, and that is to Not My Dance's channel, whether that is Twitch, whether that is YouTube, whether that is Twitter, all under the same exact handle, Not My Dance, where you guys can find fantastic Marvel Snap content, whether it is deck guides, OTA/patch reactions, Datamines, or other just fantastic content in general. Dance does amazing work on thumbnails. You'll see across all sorts of YouTube and Twitter spaces, as well as a lot of the graphics you see on a lot of people's videos. Dance does those graphics, and he does absolutely phenomenal with those. Definitely check out his Twitch. He will be back to streaming in a bit. Dance and I got some things going on where our streaming is going to be a little...
Like, yours are cooler than mine.
But our streaming is going to be a little not as... happening, I would say, while we're doing some things, but definitely
we're both taking a break.
Yes, we're taking a break
coincidentally at the same time.
Yes, we did not plan that actually, but
it was funny.
We're gonna be taking a bit of a break, but definitely check out Dance's channels, all down in the description below. This card seems pretty interesting, though, Dance. I think there's a lot of synergies with, of course, the Spider-Man, all the Spider-Man, because most of the Spider-Man cards move. Getting that extra +1 will be interesting too. I wonder if does this finally bring back Torch to some crazy potential kind of things,
But because people typically are playing Torch just on the final turn for a big combo, but if I can just slowly put it up a little bit at a time. Very good. I wonder how this works with multiple man. Does the so it makes a copy at another location. When it does, it makes a copy back at its previous location. Does that mean the copy is gaining a point of power too, or is it just going to be only the card that got moved?
Only the card that gets moved. It'll work like Sparky. Because Sparky counts the card that moved itself, because it doesn't retroactively add that power back to the copied card. Sparky doesn't do that.
Okay, that's a good shout. Okay, yeah. Mary Jane's going to be a very, very cool card. I'm glad she's finally entering the scene, as it were. She's going to have some very cool variants. I think if there's any character I've seen more Artgerm art that we don't have in the game, it's Mary Jane.
Yeah.
So I wonder how long it takes for us to get an ultimate out of this.
Soon.
It's going to be soon, I bet.
Very, very soon.
But I think it's going to be very cool. I'm stoked that we are getting Mary Jane into the game. Thank God it finally happened. And also, she's going to be more playable, at least it seems like, than Karen Page.
Yeah, because they want to totally just, go for the bias there. But I think the next card, we're going to be jumping around, spoiler, but the next card we have that Dance gave me is Scorpion Brand New Day, which is a 6-cost, 7-powered card with the ongoing ability, double the affliction on all enemy cards. And it doesn't just say here. It says in general.
Which I like that this is a count, not the same, but it's different, but also similar to Diamondback. Whereas they both need the affliction to exist in general. However, if you want to look at the order of stuff works, Diamondback checks to make sure, let's imagine US Agent. She checks to make sure a US Agent is on the board. Or it's affecting this card. And then she does her ability. I'm hoping that this occurs afterwards, and then all of a sudden, I've got a -10 on a card.
I would say the play order probably matters.
I don't know if it's play order. I'd argue it's like Cerebro.
Okay.
Because Cerebro has weird things in like certain locations where technically, was it like Throne Room or something like that happens afterward? I don't know. There's weird orders and all that stuff. But yeah, so this is going to be this is another card releasing during that season. And again, I gave you the wrong order, I'm pretty sure, because I think this is releasing week 4.
It makes sense.
And I think the spoiler is actually happening during week 3, the next card the card we saw for a second.
But I still think this also goes with regular Scorpion, because regular Scorpion afflicts all the cards in hand. So like you're having brand new day Scorpion kind of synergize with that as well.
I saw some people talking about how they were upset that Scorpion hasn't gotten any more love, hasn't gotten any more variants for a bit. And now they don't have to know why. I mean, there's this version that's coming out of it, and that's cool. I think that's fair. I'm glad to see it. I think there's more stuff that we could dive into here in terms of spoilers, but I think I'm going to move on and just say I'm glad this is in there.
Yep. And then the next card we have is the Sinister Six, which is a Datamine. It says character, which is a 0 cost, 0 powered. We don't know the ability yet, but it is Datamine to release on July 28th at Series 5.
Yeah, so this is the last card of the season, most likely. No information on it yet, but this is Datamine to be the last card of the season. Sinister Six is going to be pretty interesting. Don't know what it's going to be, but I'm glad we are getting them. I think, can we go to Boomerang? Is that hopefully next in the list?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank God. This card's getting changed.
Yeah, this card surely gets red winged, right?
God. So in case you don't know what we're referencing here, Red Wing was a card that during Datamines. Part of the reason I want to ban Datamines is honestly Red Wing, and probably Boomerang is my guess, because it looks like Old Isan. You want to talk about Starbrand, you want to talk about Gore, all those cards. It looks like an ability that is really cool. Currently, Boomerang is Datamine as a 2/1. When this returns to your hand, randomly steal 4 power from cards in your opponent's hand. Activate return, and with the activate ability that also it returns to your hand. So when you argue this, I'm like, okay, well then why would this get changed? Because last time we had a Datamine card that looked like it was going to work with Bounce, which is Red Wing. Red Wing had ability that basically said it was a thing that 1/1/1/2 said return a 1-cost card here to your hand with +2 power. Got changed to what it currently is. So Datamines are subject to change. I don't expect this card to stay. I don't
expect it to stay at 4 power. I do believe it'll have an ability somewhat similar to being bounced back to your hand. Like, I think that just makes the most sense. Like, a Boomerang returns back to you. I think that kind of is like a core element of what they probably want to do with this card, is have it as a type of bounce card. But I do not believe it'll stay at a 4 steal. I think it'll either go to a 2 steal or a 3. If it goes to a 3, it might be a 2/0, or they may make it a 3 cost potentially. But I do believe this is going to have some sort of synergy where it bounces back to your hand. Now, if it dies at 3, right? If it were to be a 3 cost, but 3/1 and +4 still, or steal 4, maybe it's better at the steal 4 at a 3 cost. It's still bounce in general. That 3 cost slot is one of the trickier slots to maneuver around. And like, when Beast went to a 3 cost, Hitmonkey went to a 3 cost.
He got cut for a second even.
Yes. So it's some interesting stuff there. But I think something people are running right now, or like Dr. Guapo's running in like bounce, is Grandmaster. Using Grandmaster to bounce cards back and everything too is something really neat. And this card is a crazy scaler for bounce. At it, like reading it current stats wise, which this is what we're doing. We're reading it at current stats. This is an absolutely insane scaler for bounce right now. Like literally Hawkeye who? Like genuinely,
legitimately.
Silver Sable who? Like this is like disgusting.
Yes, this is very good. I will be shocked and surprised if this actually stays as a 2/1 with this ability. I'll be surprised if this card exists in the same way in any shape or form. Next Datamine, I will be shocked. This is I think each set of Datamines we get a bait card.
Yes.
A card that is going to get changed. We had Namorita last time.
Yep.
Boomerang is the new bait. There's no shot that Boomerang stays the same.
I still think also, if this was like a 2/2 or like a plus, like a steal 2 or a steal 3, this card's still good. Like I do think that's still, it's just insane at the steal 4 stat line is more so what we're saying. We're not saying like if this gets the steal, like if it goes to like 3 or if it goes to 2, it's going to be bad. It's just now it is insane.
And I'm honestly like, and again, it's one of the reasons I don't trust Datamines and I don't like them as much, where it's like, I just don't have faith that this will be a bounce card is where I'm currently at. I'd love it. I'd so love it, but I just don't have faith in it. And that's just where I'm at with it.
What if it's like an on reveal, you play this and it returns an opponent's card back to their hand?
That's insane.
Like it's going to have some sort of, I think, correlation to returning a card back to someone's hand.
Returning something to a hand is a very boomerang-esque thing. Yes. How it exactly will get done, if it even is a bounce or whatever, would be very cool. I love this card as is, Tucker. Yes. I cannot overstate that. And I have to be very harsh to this because if I have too much faith in this card, I'm going to be crushed when it gets changed. Yeah. So I don't believe in this card.
I think that's totally fair. And then honestly, Dance, we also got Tombstone. Tombstone also has an ability change that was data mined. He went to a 2-cost, 3-powered card. It still does not have a release date. I don't believe. It's because it's data mined Series 4. Series 4 data mined. 2-cost, 3-powered. On reveal, destroy your lowest powered card at each other location. And I think that's honestly a pretty good ability for a 2-cost. Whether that is Weapon X Copium or quite simply just to get death.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, Weapon X Copium. Also, it is great for Junk Copium to be able to destroy your Void or to be able to destroy the Hood.
True.
It's also good if you just want to destroy X23 in a lane you can't get to. It's a very good targeted kind of like destroy card to give you death value. Like, this is a very interesting on reveal that isn't just plug into just like typical destroy. I think this also
I love it.
I like the concept too. Like, there's so many cool things. You have a card by itself in a lane, it is then technically the lowest powered card in that lane, and Tombstone will target it. So
you want to know who else I think of with this?
Mero?
Galactus.
Galactus would be interesting.
Right? If you I could have a what's it called? I could be running play wave on turn what's it called? On turn 5 I play a wave, and I imagine I have a Marrow in that lane. Let's go with that logic. I just destroy the Marrow, and then right afterwards I get to play Galactus in that lane, and they can't stop it.
Yep. Yeah. No, this is a cool priority even card kind of thing too, depending on what you're destroying.
No, it's really cool. And so, as you mentioned, right, this is a Series 4 card. In all the other cards we talked about for this coming season, there's no, in particular, this is a Series 4 card. There's, again, if you look even the graphic that Snapped Off Fan, which is where we're talking about all this stuff from, which big shouts to them, they don't have anything for Series 4 during this month. So if you argue what would that look like, I think Tombstone is an example. I think Tombstone is going to occur. And the other one is another card we talked about in the past. We don't need to bring it up here and show it here in particular, but J. Jonah Jameson.
Yes.
J. Jonah Jameson.
New variants in the data mines, which we aren't going over the variants, but it did get a new variant in the data mine. So yeah, I could see either of those being.
I think both of them are going to be the Series 4 cards of the month. And J. Jonah Jameson, honestly, as a 1/3, is kind of just it's just an ongoing card you kind of just put into a deck. And you don't care about the text emotes. You just are like, this is an ongoing.
Yep. And it's 1/3, So very, very interesting there. We have 2 other cards that were data mined here. One of them is Pizza Slice, which works as the Chimichanga, which we aren't really pulling up on screen.
It's a 0/1.
Yeah, 0/1. And then we also have the Spider Sense, which is labeled as a character. It is collectible. So we're assuming right now, Dave and I were talking about this before the app, that it's going to be something like a skill. Think of the way Web Sling was. We're thinking Spider Sense might be something kind of similar to that. We don't necessarily know if that is going to release this season of the Spider-Man Brand New Day season, kind of like how the Marco Show Lao and stuff were data mined, and we inferred that it was going to release into the Show Lao season, but it didn't release. So it's possible that could be another thing here with Spider Sense.
That's a real answer.
But
we'll see. But and so for us, with those pizza slices as well, as I'll mention, we have 2 new locations that are also data mined. We have just a pizza place, which adds 2 pizza slices to your hand. Thusly 0/1, each of them being merged. So buffing Man Spider who needed it. In addition, we also have Empire State University.
Okay.
Which is which on turn 6 get +2 energy.
Wow.
which the tip is meant to be graduation day, right? So you finish the whole game, you get a little bit extra at the end.
Oh, that's actually not bad. I like the idea there. But that is going to be the gist of the Datamines for us today. And we are going to jump on over to some of these immediate thoughts that Dance and I have with the brand new season, as of course Strife was released this season, as well as Techno-Organic Virus and Wolverine Horseman of Death. But going straight into it, Dance, as you look at Strife, what are your initial thoughts on this card?
I think this is a card that if they buff to a 4/7, I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't want them to.
You think this card needs a buff?
No.
Okay.
But I also don't think it has great stats for the most part. I understand that there's going to be some bot inflation currently.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't think this card has truly fantastic statistics right now. And we were saying that a little bit early into the season, right? Yes. It's the first week. Maybe the first OTA could shake up stuff a little bit. I'm honestly perfectly happy with Strife. I think Strife is very well balanced. I've got no issues with him. I think he's a very cool card, very chill, and I like it a lot. And there's also like an alternate version of Strife, which has come out by the time this is this will be live, but we actually don't have it yet. It's Ascani Sun, which is not a card we currently have yet. But I'm gonna be honest, I think out of the cards this month, I'm most excited currently for the Series 4 cards, and Ascani Sun is one that I'm really stoked for.
Yeah, I think Ascani Sun is gonna be very interesting. I think the concept of it's really cool. Like to be winning the location in order to get the additional cost when you do activate Ascani Sun is something that I really like there. I think going back to Strife,
I got distracted. Yes,
what Strife I really hope puts into perspective is that I think Strife is good. I think Strife is balanced. I think I like him in a 4/6. I think I like him as a season pass card. But what I'm hoping is that the balance team looks at the cards that Strife's using at their on reveals for and is looking at the show Lao. And it's like, maybe we need to do a little bit of changing to show Lao here. And adjusting there. But of course, even if show Lao does lose power, right? Strife is a 4/6 that also can use that on reveal on a card played. And I think something that's really cool with Strife I've liked a lot too is while ordering your cards matters for show Lao, ordering your card matters even more if you're trying to use Strife with show Lao. In the sense, if you played Strife last, it's going to buff itself. It's not going to buff the card you want it to buff, whereas show Lao buffs the card you played prior. So like that's something too. Even when I was testing like with Taskmaster, I was like, oh, I'm going to copy this card, but it's like, no, your Taskmaster is your highest cost card in your hand, but it would only copy Strife's power because it's the last card you played. So like there's a lot of like ordering stuff and everything you have to play around and understanding like fundamentals. I think I really like with Strife, like really thoroughly understanding the on reveals. So like there's the thought process with that, which I really enjoy with this card. I have no qualms with Strife whatsoever. I just think maybe some of these other on reveal cards still need to be tuned down a little bit because by themselves, I think they're still a little maybe too strong in certain instances. But that's why I still brought up, though. Even if you do tune down those cards, Strife still has a solid stat line to be able to use those on reveal abilities and do fun stuff. So it's like the balance between both of those is going to be really interesting coming into the OTA. But I like Strife Dance. Do you like the Techno-Organic Virus? Have you been doing any testing with
I have
TOV?
The Techno-Organic Virus is a lot of fun. I think out of all the cards that came out this season thus far, this is the one I played the most and had the most fun with because it is so cool. I think one thing I love about this card is it, and again, I've talked about Black Swan, but I think people are starting to use Black Swan more and more with this card. I think that's the thing that's been done. But that wasn't people weren't running Black Swan for that before, right? The interaction in particular where I've mentioned it in the past where it's like, hey, if a Iceman hits a 1 cost and then you activate Black Swan, it still goes down to 0.
Yeah.
That wasn't something that people were trying to tech around. People weren't doing that inside of a pixie list in the past. But because Techno-Organic Virus is the downside of this card is built into it, it's now something people are playing around and building into and playing with more. So we're seeing more of that getting done. And it's a card that was pre-existing and a new, again, not even a new mechanic that's done with it, but just a new incentive to use it differently is super cool to me. And I love that. So this has been such a sick card to mess with. I've loved this one. And this is so much fun. I love it. I don't know if it's balanced. I don't know if it's broken. I don't know if it's too good. I don't even know if it's weak. I don't care. I love it.
I really enjoy this card, and I have had a lot of fun and great success with it too. The thing that's been rough for this card is just the meta is still so massive power scaling wise that sometimes Techno can't keep up into certain matchups, but that's kind of like how Snap is in general. Some cards are going to be really good into certain matchups. Some cards are going to be very bad into certain matchups. So like it feels like having tech pieces with Techno Organic Virus. Like originally, I was running Mobius in my Sauron Scar deck. And I was like, okay, I'm doing this because I'm leaning into making it so this stays a one cost with Mobius. But instead, I said, screw that. You know what? I'm running Shadow King. And actually running Shadow King into those matchups made me get more Techno Organic Virus dubs. One, because no one's expecting the Shadow King right now. And two, I didn't have to necessarily worry about as much my opponent scaling at the same time because I had the tech answer there. And I think in general, when we're looking at the new season cards and we're looking at the way like kind of they work and stuff, it feels like I'm seeing a lot more tech in the front half of the season because numbers are so big. Whether it is, I'm seeing a lot of Stardust, like a lot of Stardust right now. And I'm still seeing Juggernaut, Eliath, like KM I know posted and also hit Infinite with they call it the ethical Star-Lord Master.
Star-Lord, I've seen that
Sun
one.
deck. Now using Strife as well.
Not surprised.
Which is not surprised because Strife is good.
Speaking of Strife, did you go back to that one, right? Was it left arrow key, right? You know, if you're on the screen, you can use the arrow keys to go through those cards?
But I click off the screen.
Oh, fair enough. Okay. Anyway, you made a good point with tech cards that I forgot to shout this with Strife. I've been running this in a Thanos deck.
Okay.
With Aurora.
Yeah.
And it's not good just with Aurora. And I didn't realize that. But one thing you can also do is if I am trying to play this card and I don't have an Aurora, I'm running Shang-Chi in the deck. And Shang-Chi revealing at the end of the game is fantastic. I don't know why I got rasped there for a second, but like it's so good. And I've won games by saying like, you know what? I don't care about trying to play this Aurora right now. Or trying to play it earlier, trying to keep it in hand. I'm just going to get rid of it so that I can use my Strife just on a Shang-Chi at the end of the game because a lot of people are using Strife for Fin Fang Foom.
Yep.
And a lot of people are using Strife for, again, the 2 dragons that we have currently in like $100 bundle, right?
Yep.
They're using them there. And it's such a good counter and just saying like, okay, hey, what if instead of using Strife to do big number, I use Strife to remove big number? And that's really powerful, especially, God, I hate holocations, bro.
Yeah, I mean, this
legitimately
Carmitage this past week was.
I was streaming and I said, y'all, I understand there's drops. There's a lot of stuff. We have a lot of people. This holocation killed my reason to keep streaming right now. I just gave up on it. I said, I'll send y'all somewhere else. Someone else has the encouragement to keep streaming. I don't. I'm over it. I hate it. I'm moving on. It's so bad. I don't like it, but sorry. Strife is a very cool card. I do think it's a very balanced card. And then we also have another card that released, which I think everyone forgot
talking about like Strife, like something I've really played into a lot more with objectives is playing objectives on like lanes where cards have like end of turns. Playing an objective onto an Iska lane is actually very interesting because Iska's end of turn happens before the objective happens. So you're able to win potential games because end of turn happens before the objective. So some of these end of turn abilities, whether it's moving to location to win a location or it is doubling power, happens before the objective goes off. So they don't get to account for the objective going off, which is something that's really cool and interesting as we play more with these objective cards. The ordering matters so much for a lot of these cards. Same with end of turn. Whichever end of turn was played first, that end of turn happens. Like I won a game the other day because a Drax was played before a Doom 2099. And even though the Doom 2099 bot landed in a location Drax could have moved to and won, since Drax was played before, that end of turn proc to check to see if it moved to a location, would you win? And I was able to steal that game because the ordering of the end of turn stuff, which is very, very interesting. But Dance was talking about Wolverine Horseman of War, which I think Dance and I have had two different kinds of opinions on actually Wolverine Horseman of War. So Dance, I want to hear your side first.
Yeah, I don't like it. I love this card. I don't like it. I don't think it's good. I think this card is going to, when we talk about the busted card of the season, Mother Ascani, I'm so stoked for this card then. Because then all of a sudden, I've got 2 immediate triggers for it, and it's 3 cost.
Yeah.
Second I can use this with Mother Ascani, I think I'm going to be very interested in this card. But until that happens, I don't think this card is great. However, you said we have different interests in it. So what are you with this?
I've been playing Juwala's and Safety Blade's version of pretty much a hand buff kind of deck with this. It has Captain Carter. It has Ironlad. Ironlad hitting this card automatically procs the ability. Because it's at 7 power instead of at 3 power. Viv Vision, Prodigy, Forge, Awesome Andy's in the deck as well. You also have Agony.
Can you show the list? This is, I haven't seen this before. I didn't know that there was a list that was actually doing well. I understand it's going to be poorly formatted on this screen.
Yes.
I'll
show the list for you guys. This is the list that I have been running. And actually have a pretty good cube rate with this as well. And it was actually in the video I posted this past week. I played both versions and showcased both versions. And like, you steal games. Like, a lot of these games, I am actually getting like crazy brood value. That's another reason why I was like, Stardust is a little rough sometimes because, you know, I'm playing brood and everything too. But I'm not saying by any means whatsoever that this card's a must-buy, or by any means whatsoever that this card is the sole reason I won those games. Because the games I did have Wolverine, yes, it was cool when it procced, but it was more so the other cards, and Buffa to Maverick, of course, is still just amazing right now. Maverick is just really, really good, and Maverick into Captain Carter lanes is something I've been doing a lot.
Oh, yes.
And also I've been doing Captain Carter into Agony and then Prodigy. So then the Prodigy copies the Captain Carter and then moves to the front row with the Agony buff as well. And then you play Maverick in the back row. And you get a lot of really cool like power plays there. Viv Vision is still just incredible. So this has been interesting in those style of decks. And like, I have good cube rate and good win rate with those decks. But this card hasn't been the sole reason I've won those games. But has been a pretty good buff with something like even a Herbie hitting this to just give my other cards in those lanes that extra 3 power to be able to buff cards later on. It's more of like a, maybe not worst case scenario, because at first we were testing it with Galacta instead of Ironlad, which was Safety's version, which Galacta still was doing well. But I think in general, with this, you're running Galacta and Ironlad probably instead of Wolverine Horseman of War. In general, if you probably want that extra, you know, consistency and don't want to play a new card, which is totally fair. You don't need to play.
Are you running Sam Wilson in your deck as well? So I'm looking it up.
I'm not running Sam Wilson, but Jawala had an original version that also was running Sam Wilson.
That's what I was noticing
for some of the Captain Carter value. But I was playing the version without Sam Wilson, which is still very fun. So this card
I see it.
Definitely does not have the output that Strife or Techno-Organic Virus has. It's going to kind of like fall in that kind of mid to low tier, kind of like how Juggernaut Horseman of War does. Both Horseman of War cards kind of fallen flat there, which is going to be just very interesting. As of course, we do have Angel Horseman of Death coming out, I think, today, which we didn't build any decks for this Angel Horseman of Death. But like, if you were to think about your Angel Horseman of Death cards, what do you think you would be playing with Angel?
I think you're running Destroy. It's just Destroy, and I don't think it's anything clever. I think you can talk about maybe a Weapon X, and I was playing a Weapon. I was playing a Weapon X deck actually, and I was having a blast with it. That was using Dormammu stuff, and I was having a good time. And someone in my chat was like, "Okay, is this a deck you want to run Angel in?" I'm like, maybe, but the problem is you don't get targeting, and that's what kills the card. So I don't know. Maybe there's a world in which, because I was thinking about it more, like maybe because you remove stuff from the pool with like the first skill with Dormammu, maybe that's enough to say that you can get the targeting with it. Maybe. I'm still unconfirmed and really unbelieving, but we'll see as the card actually releases. But the problem with the card is it's just a card for destroy. And also you're not reviving things often enough, I feel like. It's a very difficult ask. Maybe it'll be enough, but it's not an easy ask.
Yeah, I think the card's going to be interesting. It is 2 cost, which being
same stats as normal Angel.
Yeah, which is good, like better. I'm wondering if it is more so a Morgan Le Fay style card, where you revive the cards pack in your hand, so you have less cards in your destroy pile, and then you're destroying a Lin Lee, and then you're getting a Lin Lee back on the board with the +4. Like, it's going to be a copium kind of card, I think, for a while until it like establishes a home. I think what can potentially make this card better will be actually in July. When Tombstone releases, I think Tombstone is an immediate kind of potential buff for this card. Depending on what you're playing, because you have to destroy, do you destroy 3 cards or you're destroying 4 cards through the court? I think it's 4 cards, right?
You know what? Yeah, can I give the ability for Archangel real quick?
Yes.
Yeah. So we don't have it on screen, but I'll share it real fast. Archangel, Horseman of Death, has the objective ability, your cards are destroyed 4 times. Once that's done, you resurrect 1 here with +4 power. So with that in mind, you should be watching Tucker's Buy or Bust, where he talks about this card more. You've probably already seen it by now, and yeah, maybe this is a bit of a bust as a minor spoiler still, but he talks about that card, gives you more details, gives you some decks that we don't talk about here, but he does go through all of that stuff, and you should take that time. Go into it, go watch that video, give him the love, give him the support. He also talked about the Wolverine deck, right, that he just talked about over here. He's got that video on his channel. Listen, y'all, not only am I going to be busy in this next couple weeks, so is Tucker, but Tucker is doing so much better than I, as he's putting out a lot of content for y'all and consistently got stuff for you while he's going to be very busy with his stuff, which in comparison to Italy, I prefer a kid. Just as a statement I'm willing to make, I do prefer humans to places on the planet. Well, yeah, I feel like that's a pretty fair statement to make. So if you want to make sure you're getting all the great content, all of that great stuff, you got to go over to his YouTube, which you're probably already watching this on if you aren't watching it. YouTube.com/@Tucker. He posts the decks as well over on his Twitter, his X, whatever you're calling it, as well as over on his Twitch. He will be streaming. Maybe we're taking a break for a second, but we'll be back in just a bit. So make sure you're prepared for that by making sure you are followed. So as soon as he is back, you get that notification and you'll be able to see that gorgeous bearded face, which has had maybe a second pair of hands, or third at this point, that he is, as of now, not grabbing it. I don't know where I'm going with this. Just go follow him, please. I don't know where I'm going with this thing, and I regret it as of now anyway. So Archangel, Horseman of Death, your cards are destroyed 4 times, and that's what resurrects 1 here with +4 power. So I was also, okay, and here's the biggest cope. Wade Wilson.
Wade Wilson is interesting, like a very interesting shout, I think, for that. I think... So, like, Morgan Le Fay was a card that released, and it didn't really perform that well, and still is just not that great. Angel feels kind of like that, but I do think we're getting a couple more synergistic, I would say, pieces that might help with Angel value. I think of, like, Muse even. Like, Muse destroying cards in a variety of different locations. True. Weapon X. So, like, these decks are, like, honestly, like, a Tier 3, Tier 4 destroy deck. So I think that's kind of like what's getting help right now at the moment. Unless, like, an OTA changes a bunch of cards. So, like, I don't think these cards are, like, unplayable, but they don't necessarily, like, hold up, I think, potentially as main engine pieces in those style decks.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go back to the thing I just said with, because I had just thought about this idea with Wade Wilson, but maybe that's a thing where it's, and also, who's the other one, potentially? The 3 cost that does it. Firelord, something like that?
Firelord's a 4/7 that revives, but Airwalker is 4 costs, yeah.
Because, I mean, if you're trying, I don't know what deck has multiple 4 costs. You could argue maybe it's the discard destroy combo deck, maybe. Maybe that's something where you're trying to get multiple 4 costs onto the field, and you don't have to pay anything to do it. All you're doing is you're just destroying. I don't know if that's going to work, but I'm trying to think of any reason here to
in the discard destroy deck. You're just not running enough cards you're destroying to really get the value from
the
Angels.
You're right.
So it's just it's in a weird spot. The revive +4 is cool. Like it's just like not being targeted.
That's what gives me pause.
Yeah.
Because Does that make it good enough? Does that make it good enough to say, yeah, this is a card I'm okay with playing?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like it's no, but but there is that lingering doubt that I can't ignore because of that +4 that exists.
Yeah.
Is that enough to be, no, wait, there's something you can do here? What is it? I don't know, but that is something I feel like is a thing that could be considered. Also, Misery is just another good piece with cards in general. Maybe Misery is a card you're supposed to run with it. Maybe Misery does enough stuff there. I don't know. We'll have to see all that stuff, but Archangel Horseman of War, honestly, is not even like the promo thing I do. I'm just going to go back to pushing your channel. Like, I think that's the best place where people can figure out stuff. As if you want to see decks that are probably going to work with it, or at least do playable things with it, check it out. Whether or not, I'm not saying good things, fair.
Yeah.
Check that out. That's my best argument I could give for that stuff. But you kind of alluded, Tuck, to the OTA.
Yes. Yeah.
What's happening?
What the craziest thing is here, guys. This OTA, they lock OTAs a week or a week and a half in advance or something, right, Dance?
Week or so, it seems like.
This is the first OTA we have without Glenn.
True. I feel like the game's going to be in an okay spot because I've heard this in public places where it's like Glenn's been doing an overseeing maybe sort of role for a bit, and the OTAs, the balance decisions for a bit of time have been done by another team, which maybe you could be like, oh, that's why the Shu Lao and stuff like that. I don't know, but I'm not arguing that stuff. So I don't think if we see a change immediately, I don't think we'll see a change immediately. I think if and when we start seeing changes to cards like that, and maybe I think we're going to have to, it's going to be a gradual shift. And then I think in like June or July, we could look at maybe a month or two of balance changes and then compare that from like a year ago and see how does that look in comparison. Yeah. In terms of how much they're buffing, how much they're nerfing, and also like how effective these are. Like, we don't know. And that's going to be a big shift in the way that we're going to be approaching all of these. So I'm excited to see that stuff. Not as excited as Tuck. You mentioned earlier, you said you got a hot take to start us off here. So
yeah, I don't necessarily think this card needs this.
I'm looking over it. Okay, I was trying to look away so I didn't see the screen until the card showed up, so I didn't get it. Because I know if I wanted to, I could squeeze my eyes and squint and see, try to see behind here, but I'm not doing that. Okay, what do you have for Surtur? What's this hot take you're trying to bring me into?
So I thought about it originally, and I was like, what if you made Surtur a 4/6 that gets +2? It's either 4/6, because I was like, a 3/6 +2, then it's like immediate scar value, but I was like, you can't make it a 3/6.
4/6 +3?
4/6 +3.
Or even a 4/5 +3 potentially.
Yeah, but like you make, I mean, I know even at a 3-cost slot, you're like, you're not playing Surtur over other cards, or like that kills the card, make it a 4-cost. But it's like, I think if you can make it a 4-cost +3, you would do it with the
This is a hot take.
Again.
This is mild up, bro.
Well, my hot take, I was like, make Surtur a 3/6 +2. That's what my hot take was. But then I was like, I'm like, I'm gonna not do that because that's actually legitimately too good.
That's wrong. No.
Yeah, that's just wrong. But I think you might increase Surtur's cost and give him the +3 back.
I could see that being a very real world because people are like, oh, you're putting a +3 back. It's a free +3. And there is a big detriment to then putting let's imagine if it's still a 4/5 or even honestly a 4/6, there is a detriment to playing a 4/6.
Yes.
And it doesn't do anything else. And so that's a real world. I can see this card existing as a 4/6, a 4/5. I think that's an actual conversation. But the question is, I don't know if Second Dinner wants the big dumb idiot stack back.
They were rather just they were like honor field big dumb idiots opposed to this flat stats big dumb.
Right? I mean, the problem being, I think they could have done this quite a few times. They could have brought big dumb idiots back. Do they want it back? Is my question. Because if they do, deal. If they don't, they won't. Which just sounds dumb to say it that way, but I agree with you. I just don't know if it will occur.
And especially because the way Shang-Chi is, if you bring big dumb idiots back, you don't have anything to contest that. But you do have Fin Fang Foom. Which
honestly,
also,
I'd say that's the Fin Fang Foom counter. Like that is, you have Fin Fang Foom. You do have Shadow King for a lot of these cards, including Surtur here. So it's like I would argue you still have counters. I think you still do.
I think counters exist.
But I don't even know if you want to play this.
Yeah.
As God, you know what? Honestly, 4/6 plus 3. You like I'm easily sold there because you can only typically probably play like one more card with 10 or more power before you like on because that's on turn 5. Then on turn 6, maybe you play 2 more and then you get this to like a 4/14. And that's what Celine exists as, and she's kind of mid.
Well, the difference is like when Surtur first came out, we didn't have like Luna Snow. So I don't think we had Luna Snow. Maybe we did, but like having that and having like
no,
Surge
we didn't. It came
like
I think it came the next.
I think it came later that year. But I think just thinking about that, like having Luna Snow and then having combo pieces to mess with that. Also, you know what would be interesting here? You do get like, let's say you play a 4-cost out with Surtur, and then you play the Techno Organic Virus just on a Surtur. Surtur then gets capped at 10 power, but would be like immediate like Scar things, which would be
true.
Just interesting to kind of note there. I haven't tested Surtur with Techno Organic Virus, but that might actually be something I do here soon.
I don't think
I mean, if it's just would be like I get this to 10 power, but I can't get it past that, and that's where it's like, or is that worth it?
Yeah, and that's I don't think it'd be worthwhile.
But
no, I'm sold. I'm sold on this one.
Okay. Surtur getting some love. We're avid Surtur.
I even talked about it going to a 2-cost. I think it's just can't exist at a 3, and I actually think it's a much more interesting card at 4.
Yeah.
2 is too. Honestly, I'm gonna say 2 is too easy. I love the idea of 4 because it's a harder card to play, but it is also a better payoff, and that +3 is cool.
Yeah. What is the first card you got, Dance?
Click one. You pick. Dealers, you're the dealer here. You choose. Esme, Cuckoo, or Cuckoo, however you're supposed to say it. I've heard people say Cuckoo, but I thought it was Cuckoo the whole time. I'm pretty sure it's Cuckoo. Anyway, this card is Esme is meant to be someone who it came from Emma Frost, the White Queen, who is a 3/5. This is, I think, honestly, you just give Esme a 3/5 stat line, and you give its ability a 3/5. I think it's just that. And I don't even think it's a good card still.
I would love it at a 3/5. I think it's interesting too at that 3/5, thinking of like the way like Age of Venom is like a 2/5.
Yep.
It gives +3 to all those cards too. I think kind of like similar to that sense, or like the White Queen. I wonder, I don't know if you necessarily can give the 5 power to the card you generate, but I think
I think they would match it because it's meant to go with the clones.
Yes. But I don't know. I think Esme herself needs to at least be a 3/5. I'm not for certain if the clone itself can be a 5 power card, but I think at least Esme's base at 5.
And if guess what? If it's busted at a 3/5, then this card released over a year ago at this point, and it's finally good. So we'll deal with it.
Like Viv, Viv released a while ago.
Yeah, it released
a 3/4.
Yeah, and I don't know if she's busted right now. We'll have to wait and see on her. Dude, I don't think either one of us have Viv on our hit list today. But if she went back down to a 3/3, I kind of wouldn't be surprised.
No, we'll see what happens there.
I don't want her to. I want to make that very clear. But I also am not kind of surprised at all. Arrow. Oh, you're just gonna. Are you say 5/10?
Yep.
Bro, I don't know. I don't know if they can do it. I don't know if they could even do a 5/10 with her straight up. I think the reason you would argue it is because since she released, we have skills. And skills remove, like, they make all these cards that care about moving your opponent's cards worse, right? Magneto is worse because of skills. Arrow is worse because of skills. Juggernaut isn't because he does it for cards that are unrevealed.
Yep.
Arrow is one of the few that isn't, or that is worse with it. And I wouldn't be surprised if this got changed with 5/10. They've gone back and forth on it. It'd be really funny because it's gone to 10 power, went back down to 9, went up 10, went back down to 9. I honestly could easily see this going to a 10 power card. You're saying it, and you said it, and I'm talking myself into this actually at this point, I think, is where I'm at with this.
I'm thinking go into a 10 power or have it also work with unrevealed cards again. Not moving all cards like the original Arrow, but I wonder if you could have it work with the last card opponent plays. I mean, the way it checks, of course, is card that's been revealed on the board. So I don't know. They'd have to like rework that kind of concept for Arrow.
Could be all cards your opponents played last turn as well.
I mean, if it's move all cards your opponents played last turn, I think you make it like a 5/6 or a 5/7.
I honestly don't hate that either. I don't know. I don't hate an idea, a bit of love to Arrow. I think that's actually a completely fair shout. No, I think it's because of skills, which again, I love skills introduction to the game, but they make cards like this worse. And actually, if you can I actually set you up a second time?
Okay.
Because it made a different card worse.
Well,
and you mentioned this one to me.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So Scream is a card that is worse because of the introduction to skills, which is funny that I'm introducing your thing here because I don't even know if I'm going to agree with this still. Because I feel like Scream's, I want to check Scream's win rate currently. You pitched this to me.
I was just going to have Scream go to a 2/2. That's all I was going to think. Now, if her stats are bad.
Her stats are fine currently.
I was thinking like a 2/2 or 2/3. 2/3 would be the reach. I don't think I can make Scream a Steel 3 power. I don't think I can do that.
No.
But it would have to be her base stats going to a 2/2 or a 2/3.
If you made her a 2/2, it's probably not offensive.
Yes.
But it's also, so I'm going to give two things here. It's weird I'm about to say this. And so currently her win rate is 53.2. Her popularity is pretty low. Average cube 0.09. And is, according to Untapped, all this information, it's a C tier, which I honestly take that like tier thing as I don't know how much grain I truly hold to that, or how much weight I hold to that. But but the argument that I've made before, and I just made it, about why I think the Arrow thing is fair. There's also the counter side to it. They don't want too many things that just mess with your opponent, because if they do that too often, it sucks to just have your board get shuffled around. And I don't think they want that to be too good of an archetype, but I also don't. But also, as we get more skills and more skills are introduced and people are doing more things with skills, they become worse.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually full. I don't have a decision here. This is one, the Arrow one, I could get behind.
Yeah.
This one, I would be like, I'm uncertain still because I don't even like an Arrow. I don't even know if this would be played in Scream.
Right.
But if Scream is played, yeah, right. But if I'm playing Scream, it's a different conversation. So it's like, does that make sense where I'm at with this? Where with this change here?
Yes, I hear what you're saying, because like I was like, maybe this needs to change. I don't know if it necessarily does, but it's a card that feels bad to play against. I 100% agree. But you're just not seeing it as much. There's not as much move at the moment. It's just big stuff, you know, happening. So it's interesting to see, you know, how would this play into, you know, big stuff, kind of things.
Can we go to Scar? I have a question for you about that guy. Or not Scar, sorry, Surtur. Surtur, you already had it in here. If Surtur went to 5/5 double.
5/5 double when you play a big card?
Is it good or bad? Straight up.
I think 5/5 double would be really cool. But I
don't even know if that's busted.
I think better than that though. I think instead of 5/5 double, I would like for it to be like the Iska. I would like it to be like a 4/3 double instead of a 5/5. I'd like it to be something earlier.
I could see that too.
You can double instead, because also looking at like Surtur in like Thor Ragnarok, right? The way whenever he gets his helm, he, you know, gets massive. Like scale is really, really huge. I wonder if that is something you could do.
So can I give you another reason why potentially it could work as well?
Okay.
Do you remember the Datamine ability for Surtur? It cared about Human Torch moving to it.
Oh, right. It got like what, +10
so
whenever Torch moved?
It was a 5/0. It was, you know, again, another like bait card. If you move the Human Torch's location, +10 power. But if you play a 10 power card, double this card's power. I'm listening. I don't know. I don't know if that's the answer, but I don't.
Oh my
basically,
gosh.
what I'm saying is I'm even more on your train with Surtur stuff. I don't know what, but now I really want this card. I don't want it. The problem is, bro, if it's too good, it sucks.
Dance.
Yeah, hit it.
If it doubles every time you play a 10 cost card, we bring back Surtur Slam.
Oh, I thought this was known. I thought you were already thinking about this stuff.
No,
Yeah.
I was not thinking about that. Yes, we bring back Surtur Slam, and then I'm dropping the She-Hulks, and I'm dropping Surtur, and...
Well, also, if this is a 4 cost...
Yeah.
You then get to, what is it? Turn 3 is Warlock, turn 4 Surtur, turn 5 skip, activate, turn 6 Hit Monkey, it's She-Hulk, all the fun stuff here. Yeah, no, there's some cool stuff there. We just talked about Arrow, we talked about like Scream. You brought this card up, Dance. Agatha shouldn't steal boosters. And this is in terms of like other things, I'm bringing this up to guest on the next episode of the ban list.
Okay.
This card I will be bringing up. I'm going to say this should not steal boosters anymore. If Erishim doesn't steal boosters, Agatha shouldn't.
Okay. I mean, sure. I'm in agreement.
Which is, I don't even know if it's an OTA thing they can do, but I stand by it. Maybe you make it like 50% chance. 50% chance to steal all your boosters. Sure. But otherwise, it's like this card is no longer reason to steal boosters.
Yeah. No, I'm down. That's yeah. Challenge.
It's a weirder OTA thing. Which again, I don't even know if it's a full OTA thing, but like, yeah. Okay. No, there's no reason for this.
And now you're gonna go back to back here, Dance.
Sure.
I'm gonna let you do this one.
Okay. So this is one that, all right, I'm sitting up for this. Hold up, because I had a whole thing. I was talking with my chat about this guy, this gal. They made it a 4/7 because of
it's Kahori.
The change that Kahori is currently a 4/7, and they made that change because they changed the way that the plus power works, because it doesn't give, it gives it as a mass. So if it hits Sebastian Shaw all 7 times, previously he would have gotten +2 each time. Right. It now only does once. With that, which I wonder how they're going to change this card for boosting the wording. Anyway, this doesn't work as a 4 cost. And I think that you do one of 2 things to this card. I had one change where I said, I want to make this a 5/7 that does +2.
Okay.
Or you make it a 3/3 with an activate. So 5/7, it's, I have one that my chat said was better, and I'll let you talk about what you think here, but I'm going to say 5. So Kahori with the honor ability currently says each card in your hand gives one of your other cards in play +1 power. I think this should either be a 5/7 that says +2 for the on reveal, or a 3/3, maybe 3/4 as an activate, because again, you get to set that up and have a full hand, which is part of the reason why it's an activate there, and then get to do the same ability, but you could trigger it at a certain time. So it's either like this is a game-winning card, or you have to set up for this and people know about it.
I'd be interested to kind of see that. I like the idea of the Kahori as an activate for like the Dock and Bullseye kind of surfer deck would be really interesting there. I like that as a shout. At a 5/7 +2, also like you're playing a lot into it. Like you're really having it as like your final kind of be all. 5 costs would be interesting, and you're not guaranteed to hit the cards you want to hit. So I think it'd be interesting to kind of see giving it a +2 or making it activate the value of that. Because in general, this card has a really cool concept. Like the idea
100%.
of what it can do is really neat. And I'd love to see it get played more. But it's also kind of, maybe the RNG, I maybe wouldn't love to see it as much get played more.
I think that's part of it, right?
Which
is why I don't even know if it'd be good at a 5/7. Straight up. I don't know.
So I
mean, maybe it would be, but this is a very interesting card. I want to see this go one of 2 ways. Like I said, my chat personally said they prefer the activate. People who are, top gamers were at the time, and they said that too. They said they wouldn't mind that as much. I honestly still lean more toward the 5 cost, but the RNG aspect is exactly what led other people in my chat against it. And you here mentioned that as well, which is a good point. So
the 3 cost would be cool too for like Victoria Hand stuff, like Victoria Hand Moon Girl kind of thing.
I think there's really cool stuff you could do with this card. And I think Kahori is a card that never landed correctly.
Yeah.
And it wasn't good before, and they made this change and they made it worse. And because they made this card so much worse, I want to see them do something drastic with this, which is why I'm not saying 4 cost. Maybe as an activate, it could honestly, like, here's the thing. If you make it an activate in the exact same stat line, there's a good chance it's actually still fine.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing is you have to get rid of a slot in your hand in order to use this. And if you're not getting rid of a slot in your hand, then then you have to play this onto a location or like get another card on the board that puts more things back into your hand, which means you have to do this on turn 5 or even later in the game. And that sucks too, because then the RNG, there's a bunch of reasons why I think this card should be better. I would love if Kahori was cooler. So yeah, that's where I'm at with this.
Yeah, I'd be down for some Kahori changes. Dance, can we make Nightmare 3/3?
You could. Can I pitch instead of 3/3? Can we say character?
Can we do 3/2 character?
Make it work with techno? I don't hate that. But it works with techno organic virus.
Yes. But it's like
is the exact logic.
It's just so this card's so weird because it was Datamine as a 2/1, and then it came out as a 3/1. And now it's a 3/1, and it's still not getting play, which it's still also, if it only works on, so like this would, like if it only worked and hit characters, and then if it only generated characters of the same cost, I think that would be very interesting with this. I still just don't know fundamentally,
me neither. It's a random card.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give you the take. It shouldn't be too good. I think it could be better, which is why I don't even know if I'm agreeing with the +2, the 3/2. But if you at least make it character, I think it's playable. You want this not as RNG. You want this not as bad as Ramatut, in my opinion. But there is a similar. There's a similar level, similar
like a
argument.
Fine line for it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they both should be in that RNG bad area. Honestly, Cersei should be there as well, and both Cersei and Nightmare are worse, and they are closer to Ramatut than they are to honestly Merlin's Polymorph.
Yep.
There's a different level between all of those, and they should take a little step. And character or 3/2, I could get behind. Again, little steps. We were terrified of this card, and I'm still terrified of this card being too good. Not just because it's a Nightmare, but also, it is like this is a powerful effect that should be held with extreme caution.
Yes, no, I agree, and I think that's fair. So I think we can agree on that. And then you have Colonel America on your list as well.
Yeah. There's no reason for the word other.
Oh, include him?
Yeah, he probably has to lose a point of power again, but you may get rid of the word other.
Sure.
There's no so it just says your cards here have +1 for power for each turn you've discarded a card. And that's it, right? Yeah. Because he is. You also have to commit every other card into that ability. Though. I could easily see that. I actually would still say 3/3. I don't even know if I say 3/2 because you have to play like a bunch of cards into that lane to get full value. And even then it's not fantastic. Maybe still. I don't hate it. This card should be better than it is. And I think a big part of that is the fact that he isn't buffing himself, but there's a good chance they're trying to do that thematically because of Captain America.
Oh yeah, and the other Captain America doesn't buff himself.
Exactly. However, he's a zombie. He can be a little bit hungrier. How about that? You see?
No, I like it. I wouldn't mind that being able to buff itself. We also, for our last 2 cards on here, we have Shu Lao and we have Star-Lord. So
can we go to Star-Lord? Because I agree with Shu Lao, but actually I haven't had as negative of a time with Star-Lord. So I really want to hear this from you.
So I play a lot of Star-Lord still. Especially in Phoenix Force style stuff. And this is a big body. So I'm wondering if you take some points of power away from Star-Lord, if it's a 5/7 or a 5/6 potentially. Because your main thing with these, the Star-Lord now is you were well, I'm not going to necessarily have Prio with Star-Lord and it being a 4/3 or, a 4/6 or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think You need to kind of take away a little bit of prio, I think, again, with this card because the body still is so big. Because, like, thinking about the deck, you know, like for Firehair or for even the deck that Cam's been playing, this is a 512. Like, and 512.
I could see this going down one.
Is kind of crazy. So, like, going to a 511, going to a 510, like something along those lines. I think the base power is just a bit too high on this card right now.
I think we're really close to balance with this card.
Yes.
So I don't want to do too much, if anything. So like, it's honestly, again, it's kind of even similar to Nightmare where I'm like, sure, hit it once. It's just, it's like when you're looking at a big sculpture and you see a section you're not quite right, you don't hammer it. And I know we can undo things here, but like you tap, you just keep tapping it down a little bit at a time till it's balanced. And I'm fine with that here. And I think that's okay personally to me. And I'm okay with this ability or like, it's weird that I am okay with it now, but it's like, it is much worse. And so I feel safer about this card just getting tapped a little bit at a time. I still don't like the gameplay this card introduces, but at the same time, I'm also still not saying it's busted. But I wouldn't be surprised if this card got hit again.
Yeah, I don't think this card is as busted. I still think it's the thing that's the biggest feels bad is being able to mitigate the energy and, you know, how much energy your opponent has, be able to, you know, keep track of that. Which that's not limited until, you know, whatchamacallit, until Quicksand comes out. But
true.
I think in general, I think this just needs to have a little bit smaller body. And I wonder, does Shu Lao need a smaller body, or does it need an increased cost, or does it need to be not +3?
Right, those are the questions, and I think that's a great question. I want this body to get as small as possible before it becomes a +2. Is personally what I want for this card. I've said it before. I think I want a 5/1. Give me a 5/1 before a +2 is where I'm currently at with this, because
so
I think this is
5 points of power.
I'm not saying I'm not saying I needed to lose 5 points of power right now, but that's like, if you're asking me, okay, do you want this card to go to +2? I'd say put this to a 5/1 before this gets +2.
Gotcha.
Where I'm at with this. So Shu Lao, I agree, needs to get brought down, but I honestly think the +3 is so cool. And I want it to be as non-free as possible is currently what I'm at with this, right? Okay. I want this to have as much of a cost in deck building as possible and in gameplay. So I would legitimately, for now, I'd say probably bring this to a 5/3, 5/4 maybe is probably actually what they would do. 5/4, and you hit it there, and then you see how it does, and you tap it down. Again, I'm going to say going all the way down to 5/1, and if it doesn't land there, I'd say that's where you swap. Maybe sooner because you want it to be a big dragon, but the ability is still putting so much power into a different card that I don't think it needs to just be on the ability, it's the card itself. So yeah, that's currently where I'm at with this card. I do think it's still good. But I want there to be as much cool stuff into the ability, because that encourages more utilization of the ability and makes it less about the stats on the card, which is, I think, the big thing that matters here.
Okay. I think it's fair. I think losing the base power first being adjusted is fair. And that's where my head went first, opposed to going to the +3 and everything too. Lower base power, I think, would be more impactful.
But if the OTA comes out and they say the +3 needs to go, I'd be like, sure, I believe you. Yeah, I believe that. But also, but there's a difference between Second Dinner saying that and then the community saying get rid of the +3. Yes. Second Dinner's got the information, they've got the stats, they've got all that back end stuff that I believe. Yeah, the community saying it half that's based off feels, and that's, I'm sorry, but like it is. So I'm gonna say I want to do as many cool things with this ability. Let this be something you actually have to build into, because also Kitty Pride's playable, and that's fun. And so is Merlin, and he's also super fun. Yeah. So do that stuff.
Merlin's playable besides just...
You're not wrong. But also, yeah, so I'd... If it went to +2, what do you think it'd be?
I think if it goes to +2, it needs to be like a 5/8.
Isn't that what it was released at, a 5/6? Or with the +3?
It was a 5/8 +3, or even it stays 5/6 +2. I think the body can't get lower if it goes to +2. I think it can only get higher or stay as is.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
I'd easily agree. Yeah, so I could easily see Shu Lao being that problem.
Well, that was a big tongue twister. But that's going to be the gist of our OTA hopes, which, by the way, you guys, what's the word of the day today, Dance?
Let's talk about pizza. Yeah, we got the new pizza slices in the game. That pizza place as a location. So, if you make it to the end of this episode, use the word pizza in your comment down below so we know that you made it to the end. And thank you very much for doing so.
Yep. Thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely feel free to let us know if we were right about the OTA with your guys' hopes and predictions you guys might have as well. And feel free to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Both of our channels, of course, are going to be down in the description below. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. It's been real. God bless and laters.